Ishani, let me open today's episode with a simple question. If I told you that a boy who once dreamt of joining the Indian Army ended up sitting in India's upper house of parliament, not as a career politician from a political family, but as a chartered accountant who gave up a six-figure salary in London, would you believe it?
And yet, that is exactly the story of Raghav Chadha. No political dynasty, no family connections, no silver spoon. Just a middle-class boy from central Delhi who took a detour from spreadsheets to speeches. And today, Sam, we are going to trace every single step of that remarkable journey, from his birth to his seat in the Rajya Sabha.
And listeners, whether you're learning English for your career, your studies, or just for the love of language, this episode is going to be special. Because Raghav Chadha's life story is not just about politics. It is about choices, about ambition, about what happens when education meets conviction. So let's dive in. So let's start at the very beginning. Raghav Chadha was born on the 11th of November 1988 in central Delhi. You know, it's a date worth remembering. The 11th of November is also Armistice Day globally, the day World War I ended. A day associated with peace and new beginnings, perhaps fitting for someone who would spend his career trying to disrupt the old political order.
And tell us about his family, Sam, because I think the family background is really important to understand how he shaped his values. Absolutely. His father's name is Sunil Chadha, reportedly a lawyer by profession, and his mother's name is Alka Chadha, a homemaker. Now, Sam, this is a quintessentially middle-class Punjabi family, not wealthy, not politically connected, but deeply rooted in values of education, discipline, and civic responsibility. His father, being a lawyer, brought a sense of argument, logic, and the importance of the rule of law into the household.
So it's the classic Indian middle-class story, where education isn't just an option, it's the cornerstone of everything. And you can already see how that played out in Raghav's trajectory.
Exactly. And Raghav has spoken on record about how his mother was his greatest emotional anchor. He once famously said in an interview before his marriage that the only woman who truly understood his schedule was his mother. Very sweet and very revealing about the kind of grounded-home environment he came from. Not one of ostentation, but one of warmth and hard work. Now, Sam, let's talk about his education, because this is where Raghav Chadha's story gets genuinely compelling. He did his schooling at Modern School, Barakamba Road, New Delhi, one of the most prestigious schools in the capital. It is an institution known not just for academic excellence, but for producing leaders in business, civil services, and yes, even the arts.
Modern school is no small thing, Ishani. That is an institution with a genuinely stellar reputation. And from what I understand, Raghav was not just a bookworm there. He was active in sports and extracurricular activities too.
Yes, he was a keen cricket and badminton player. In fact, he has spoken about how his childhood dream was actually to join the Indian Army, to serve the nation in uniform. That tells you something very important about his psyche, Sam. From a very young age, his identity was not about wealth, it was about service and purpose. The army dream didn't materialize, but the spirit of service clearly stayed with him throughout his life.
That's a powerful observation. So after modern school, where did he go for college?
He initially enrolled at Sri Venkateshwara College, which is under the University of Delhi. But here is where the story takes its first big turn. He studied there for a year, and then he made a bold decision. He shifted his focus entirely to chartered accountancy. Not an easy path, Sam. The CA exam is considered one of the toughest professional examinations in India, a 3-level process that takes most candidates 5 to 8 years to complete.
And Raghav Chadha cleared it at what age?
At just 22 years old. He became one of the youngest students of his cohort to successfully pass the CA exam. Think about that for a second. While most young people are figuring out their first jobs, Raghav had already cleared one of the most rigorous professional certifications in the country, and he did it through sheer discipline. No shortcuts, no nepotism, just hard work.
And then he went to London.
He did. After completing his CA, Raghav Chadha pursued further studies at the London School of Economics, the LSE. Now, for our listeners, the LSE is not just any university. It is one of the world's top institutions for social sciences, politics, and economics. Alumni include former prime ministers, Nobel Prize winners, and heads of global organizations. The fact that a middle-class boy from central Delhi was walking those corridors is itself a testament to his intellectual caliber.
And that's where his corporate career began as well, right? He wasn't just studying, he was already working with some of the world's biggest firms.
Absolutely. He worked with Deloitte, Grant Thornton, and Shyam Malpani, all highly reputable firms in the accounting and financial advisory space. And while in London, he was doing well enough that he had begun setting up his own wealth management advisory practice. Sam, here is the critical detail. He had a confirmed offer from a multinational corporate advisory company worth 6 to 7 figures. He was on the cusp of a very comfortable, very successful financial career.
And this is where the plot twist happens. Here's a young man in London, successful, financially secure, with the world at his feet, and something back home pulls him back. Tell us about the 2011 moment, Ishani.
Yes, the year 2011 was extraordinary in India's recent history. Social activist Anna Hazare launched a massive civil society movement demanding an independent and powerful anti-corruption body, the Jan Lokpal. The movement swept across the country like a wave. Young Indians, educated Indians, Indians who had never held a protest sign in their lives, all came out into the streets. And sitting in London, watching all of this unfold on his screen, was Raghav Chadha.
And he's described that moment as something of a reckoning, hasn't he?
He has, and this is very powerful. He said that he didn't choose politics. Politics chose him. He described feeling that educated young Indians could not simply sit in comfortable corporate jobs while the country needed them. His army dream from childhood, that desire to serve, resurfaced, and he made the decision. He packed up, flew back to India, and joined the movement. He was 22 years old.
And it was through the movement that he met Arvind Kejriwal, right?
Exactly. Arvind Kejriwal was at the vanguard of the Anna Hazare movement. He was the organizer, the strategist, the one who would go on to form the Aam Aadmi Party. When Kejriwal encountered Raghav, he immediately recognized something special. Here was a young man who was financially qualified, intellectually sharp, articulate in both Hindi and English, and crucially, willing to give up everything for a cause. Kejriwal reportedly encouraged him almost immediately. The Aam Aadmi Party was formally launched in November 2012, and Raghav Chadha was there from day one, a founding member, not a latecomer. His first major political assignment was remarkable. Arvind Kejriwal asked him in 2012 to help draft the Delhi Lokpal bill. Now, Sam, think about what that means. A 23-year-old chartered accountant, not a lawyer, not a political veteran, was being trusted to draft landmark anti-corruption legislation. That is extraordinary.
And it wasn't just drafting bills. He also served as an advisor to Manish Sisodia, Delhi's then Deputy Chief Minister. But here's the detail I love. He did it for 1 rupee per month. 1 rupee.
1 rupee, yes. A token salary of 1 rupee per month. He helped draft the Delhi state budget, advised on education and healthcare spending, and did all of it as a symbolic gesture of selfless service. It was completely in line with AAP's founding ethos that public service is not a business transaction. And later, when the central government retrospectively canceled the appointments of Delhi government advisors, Raghav even returned that 2 rupees and 50 paise, the total amount he had received, back to the government. 2 rupees and 50 paise.
That's a story that would be almost unbelievable if it wasn't documented. Now let's talk about his rise within the party, because he didn't stay a quiet backroom figure for long.
Not at all. When AAP won the 2015 Delhi Assembly elections with a historic majority, 67 out of 70 seats, Raghav Chadha was appointed the party's national treasurer. He was 26 years old. Now, Sam, the national treasurer of a political party manages all party funds, all financial reporting, all compliance. For a party that had built its entire identity on financial transparency and anti-corruption, putting a 26-year-old CA in charge of the money was both a logical and a deeply symbolic choice.
And simultaneously, he became the party's national spokesperson, the face on TV, the voice at press conferences, one of the youngest spokespersons across all political parties in India at that time.
And that's where his communication skills, those sharp, data-driven arguments he had built during his CA training and LSC education, came into their own. He could sit across from seasoned BJP or Congress spokespersons who had been in politics for 30 years, and he would dismantle their arguments with facts, figures, and calm delivery. He became known as the cool-headed voice of AAP, someone who didn't shout, didn't lose his composure, but always landed a punch.
Ishani, let's now walk through his actual electoral journey, because not everything was smooth, right?
Absolutely not. His first major electoral foray was in the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, where he contested from the South Delhi parliamentary constituency. And Sam, South Delhi is a BJP stronghold. It has returned BJP candidates since the 1980s. Stalwarts like Sushma Swaraj and Vijay Kumar Malhotra have held that seat. Raghav contested against Ramesh Baduri, a sitting MP and three-time MLA. He lost. But here is what matters. He fought. He put his name on the ballot in one of the toughest seats in Delhi. That's not timidity. That's courage.
And then 2020, a very different outcome?
A completely different outcome. In the February 2020 Delhi Assembly elections, he contested from Rajinder Nagar constituency, and he won, defeated BJP's R.P. Singh, his first elected office. And Sam, this was a double triumph, personally and for AAP. The party won 62 out of 70 seats in 2020, a resounding victory against all predictions. Raghav was now not just a spokesperson, he was a sitting member of the Legislative Assembly.
And then 2021, he became vice chairman of the Delhi Jal Board.
Yes, in July 2021, he was elected vice chairman of the Delhi Jal Board, the body that manages water supply and sanitation in Delhi. Now, this might sound administrative and dry, but actually, it was a very significant posting. Delhi's water crisis, its sewage infrastructure, issues of water tanker mafias, these affect millions of ordinary Delhiites. Taking on that role showed he was willing to get into the nitty-gritty of governance, not just the glamour of TV debates. And then came the moment that truly catapulted him to national prominence. In March 2022, after AAP's landslide victory in the Punjab Assembly elections, where the party won 92 out of 117 seats, Raghav Chadha was nominated to the Rajya Sabha from Punjab. He was elected on the 25th of March 2022, a 6-year term in the upper house of parliament, at just 33 years old.
The Rajya Sabha, the upper house, where laws are debated, where constitutional amendments are deliberated, where the nation's legislative future is shaped. And Raghav Chadha was now inside those walls.
And he made his presence felt immediately. He raised issues about electoral bonds and their lack of transparency. He spoke powerfully about rising unemployment in Punjab. He introduced a private members' bill, the Anti-Corruption Amendment Bill. He questioned the government on issues relating to gig economy workers, delivery personnel, ride-share drivers, arguing they were being treated as robots rather than human beings with rights and dignity. Sam, for a man who had only recently entered Parliament, he was punching far above his weight.
Ishani, let's now walk through his actual electoral journey, because not everything was smooth, right?
Absolutely not. His first major electoral foray was in the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, where he contested from the South Delhi parliamentary constituency. And Sam, South Delhi is a BJP stronghold. It has returned BJP candidates since the 1980s. Stalwarts like Sushma Swaraj and Vijay Kumar Malhotra have held that seat. Raghav contested against Ramesh Baduri, a sitting MP and three-time MLA. He lost. But here is what matters. He fought. He put his name on the ballot in one of the toughest seats in Delhi. That's not timidity, that's courage.
And then, 2020, a very different outcome?
A completely different outcome. In the February 2020 Delhi Assembly elections, he contested from Rajinder Nagar constituency, and he won, defeated BJP's R.P. Singh, his first elected office. And Sam, this was a double triumph, personally and for AAP. The party won 62 out of 70 seats in 2020, a resounding victory against all predictions. Raghav was now not just a spokesperson, he was a sitting member of the Legislative Assembly.
And then 2021, he became vice chairman of the Delhi Jal Board.
Yes, in July 2021, he was elected vice chairman of the Delhi Jal Board, the body that manages water supply and sanitation in Delhi. Now, this might sound administrative and dry, but actually it was a very significant posting. Delhi's water crisis, its sewage infrastructure, issues of water tanker mafias, these affect millions of ordinary Delhiites. Taking on that role showed he was willing to get into the nitty-gritty of governance, not just the glamour of TV debates. And then came the moment that truly catapulted him to national prominence. In March 2022, after AAP's landslide victory in the Punjab Assembly elections, where the party won 92 out of 117 seats, Raghav Chadha was nominated to the Rajya Sabha from Punjab. He was elected on the 25th of March 2022, a 6-year term in the upper house of parliament, at just 33 years old.
The Rajya Sabha, the upper house, where laws are debated, where constitutional amendments are deliberated, where the nation's legislative future is shaped. And Raghav Chadha was now inside those walls.
And he made his presence felt immediately. He raised issues about electoral bonds and their lack of transparency. He spoke powerfully about rising unemployment in Punjab. He introduced a private members' bill, the Anti-Corruption Amendment Bill. He questioned the government on issues relating to gig economy workers, delivery personnel, ride-share drivers, arguing they were being treated as robots rather than human beings with rights and dignity. Sam, for a man who had only recently entered Parliament, he was punching far above his weight.
Ishani, we'd be doing a disservice to our listeners if we didn't talk about the most talked about personal development in Raghav Chadha's life, his relationship and marriage to Bollywood actress Parineeti Chopra.
Of course. So the story goes that the two met, and reports suggest their paths crossed in London, where both had spent time. Their relationship was kept private for a while, but in early 2023, they were seen together publicly at a Punjab Kings IPL match in Mohali, at restaurants in Mumbai. The public speculation was enormous. And then on the 13th of May 2023, they officially got engaged at Kapurthala House in New Delhi. Present at the engagement were Delhi CM Arvind Kejriwal, Punjab CM Bhagwant Mann, designer Manish Malhotra, and, of course, Priyanka Chopra.
And the wedding itself?
They got married on the 24th of September 2023 at the Leela Palace Hotel in Udaipur, Rajasthan, a grand and beautiful venue. It was one of the most talked about weddings of that year, the intersection of politics and Bollywood in one celebration. And in December 2024, the couple made their post-marriage television debut together on the show Aap Ki Adalat, hosted by veteran anchor Rajat Sharma.
Let's humanize him a bit more for our listeners. Beyond the parliament, the debates, the suits, who is Raghav Chadha as a person?
Lovely question. He is a voracious reader. Books, policy papers, economic reports. He plays cricket and badminton regularly. His favorite cricketer, by the way, is Brian Lara, the West Indian legend, which tells you he has quite the aesthetic sense. Lara was not just about runs, he was about style, elegance, and courage under pressure. One could argue Raghav admires those qualities for a reason.
He also has a sense of flair, you know. He was the showstopper at the Lakme Fashion Week in March 2022, walking the ramp for designer Pawan Sachdeva alongside actor Apar Shakti Khurana. That's not something you expect from a Rajya Sabha MP.
And he received the accolade of Most Stylish Politician from the India Fashion Awards. In 2023, he also received the India-UK Outstanding Achievers Honor in London, a recognition of his journey from an LSE student to a national political figure. He has come full circle, in a sense. The City of London, where he once considered staying for a corporate career, now celebrated him as a political achiever.
Ishani, as we close today's episode, what do you think is the single most important takeaway from Raghav Chadha's life story for our listeners?
I think it is this, that credentials and conscience can coexist. Raghav Chadha didn't enter politics because he failed at everything else. He entered politics despite succeeding at everything else. He had the degree, the job offers, the career, and he chose to walk away. Not because he was naive, but because he was deliberate. And whatever one thinks of his political choices or his party, that original decision, that moment of flying back from London with a purpose, is something genuinely worth admiring.
Well said. And for our listeners, wherever you are in your English learning journey, I hope today's episode showed you that storytelling in English isn't just about grammar. It's about nuance, vocabulary, and the ability to trace a human life with both precision and empathy. Raghav Chadha's story is far from over, but what a beginning.
Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Keep reading, keep questioning, and keep growing in English and in life. Until next time.